Hello, race fans, and welcome to the Core Racing Network. We are live here tonight at Daytona. And it is not the oval, but we are using the Nascar Truck Series trucks. So, in for an interesting night here. I'm your broadcaster, David Tilford. If you haven't seen the Premier Series before, in this series we do a wide variety of disciplines and vehicles, tracks, and tonight is no exception as we bring the NASCAR trucks to the Daytona road course. They are out qualifying right now. The track is 73 degrees, ambient temperature of 72. No rain in the forecast tonight. If you're not familiar with the Daytona road course, we have 3.5 miles of infield and oval, along with that bus stop chicane on the back straight. And definitely going to be an interesting one tonight. Not something that a lot of these guys are going to be used to doing. We are getting through qualifying here. The trucks are ripping around this oval without any restrictor plate. So going about 190 by the time they get to that bus stop and across the finish line here. Turn 1 is definitely a challenge, as is the bus stop, and pretty much everywhere getting on the brakes in these trucks is going to be challenging these folks. As you see, Kelly Pointer, I believe he's just finishing up his second lap of qualifying here tonight and putting it right now in second place with Chris Hamilton with a 148.5 on top of the timings. And yeah, we'll see Jacob Grube up here with the fast guys, running with just about a half a second between him and Hamilton on the qualifying lap. Grube and Hamilton are leading the Premier Series standings right now. I don't have those handy, but I do know that they are at the top and hoping to get qualifying points here tonight will be Christopher Hamilton, as Jacob Grube was able to sweep last week's race and take home a haul of points there. So he will not be getting qualifying points tonight, but he will get a qualifying point for being third on the grid tonight. And as we wait for them to finish up, we see some of the others putting in their fast laps. We have Nobinger in fourth right now, Foster in fifth, just about 0.8 of a second behind Hamilton. Carl Handwerk out there with a 1.7 deficit to Hamilton on his lap. And then we have Crockett, Sullivan, Collins, Crane, and Phelps right now. I believe the only one yet to qualify will be Brandon Mettler, still looking to put in a qualifying time out on the track. And he does finish his lap with a 151.6 and getting in the top 10 here. Definitely not something he's used to either with these full-out NASCAR trucks on a road course. Mettler is going to be your short track guy, and some of these other guys might be used to the trucks, might be used to road racing, but there's nothing that really prepares you quite for a combination like this. They're going to be heating up the tires around this oval and then trying to break into turn 1, breaking into that bus stop chicane. It's certainly going to make for some interesting racing. We're going to have 1 hour of racing on the books for tonight, and should be about a 3-stop race with the amount of fuel that these guys are bringing on. And we'll wait for the grid here, as I believe everyone has finished qualifying, and we can bring up your grid. That will. Oh, qualifying is not quite over, so it's not going to show me the grid, so I'll have to wait on that. Let's see, just a minute. And if you all can hear me on YouTube, please let me know. This is my first time doing the broadcast myself, so I will bring up the YouTube chat on the side and make sure I can get your feedback as we go here. If anything's too loud or too soft, please let me know. We are just about ready to race and just waiting for them to grid up now, as qualifying is just about over. All right, there's your qualifying finished, and we can go over our qualifying qualifying order for tonight. Christopher Hamilton putting on the pole with a 148.5. Kelly Pointer 3/10 down in second, starting on your front row. Jacob Grube first in the second row with 4/10 to Hamilton. John Nobinger starting fourth. Kevin Foster starting fifth. Carl Handwerk starting sixth. Behind him, we have Matt Crockett and Joe Sullivan on the fourth row. And on the fifth row, we have Brandon Metler and Caleb Collins. And bringing up the rear end of the field, we have John Crane and tonight's race sponsor, Dan Phelps. And here we wait as they are on the grid, ready to start behind this Porsche safety car as they will head through the bus stop and take a rolling start here for tonight's 1 hour race.
I can hear you, Dan.
And I do need to mute my iRacing so that you guys can't hear there.
On Discord. Yes, sir. I was on Discord. I was. You're good, Chris.
Sorry about that. There we go. We are ready to go. As they wait for the pace car to get started here on the back stretch through the bus stop around turn 3 and 4 and then into turn 1. And they're rolling. Christopher Hamilton on the inside. That's definitely a distinct advantage going into turn 1 on the inside here at the Daytona road course. It'll be interesting to see what these guys can do on cold tires. Definitely not going to be easy. They'll have to be taking it a little bit easy through this first lap before those tires come in. But then once the tires heat up, it's also going to bring its own challenges, as pushing this car, or this truck, I should say, through these NASCAR banked corners at 180 miles an hour is going to heat up those outside tires quite a bit, and going to make it challenging to then dive into the infield road course and get the grip that they want to out of these slick tires. And here they come into the tri-oval. And there goes the pace car. And green, green, green. Here we go. Let's go racing. Hamilton keeping it down to the yellow line. Now coming up a little bit going into turn 1. We'll see how clean these guys can keep it here. Pointer diving to the outside. We have 3 wide almost in the back. And they keep it pretty tidy through there and all just kind of settle into single file racing. Hamilton does have a good gap here going into the International Horseshoe. And back here behind we have Jacob Grube right on the tail of Kelly Pointer. He does not want to lose the front end of this, or the front pack. It looks like these guys are going to be trying to make a breakaway as we see Carl Handwerk right on the tail of John Nobinger. See what he can do as they come back onto the oval. Hard braking to the inside, and he makes an inside move. Trying to get that move done. Moves Nobinger a little bit, but all's fair here as they come onto the track, onto the oval side by side, and we'll see who's braver going into the bus stop chicane. As out front, Christopher Hamilton has already built up a gap of almost 1 second as we watch here as Nobinger has let Carl through, and they go through the bus stop for the first time. And everyone keeping it clean here. We have Jacob Grube and Kelly Pointer nose to tail using that draft to their advantage, maybe trying to catch up to Hamilton here, as Grube is happy enough to stay behind Kelly right now and push him a little bit towards the finish line here as they finish lap 1. Through turn 1 again, Kelly Pointer gets a little wide and Grube brings it side by side. We'll see what he can do through this kink. Does he have enough to clear him? It looks like he does going into the International Horseshoe. Good pass by Grube there. Just a little better traction going into turn 1. Pointer just pushed it just a little bit too much and went wide. Toward the back we have Dan Phelps, your biggest mover of the race so far, up 3 positions. And Brandon Mettler, unfortunately, has gone down 3 to bring up the rear end of the field right now. And it looks like Mettler might have had a little bit of an issue earlier on. If we take a look at the replay here, looks like going into the bus stop, and he saves it, but then loses it on the exit, and just a little slow, lazy turn gets it turned back around and going back straight as we'll go back live. Back to your leader, going back into turn 1, where it looks like Kelly Pointer has actually passed Jacob Grube again, but he goes a little bit wide, and they are side by side. Back into the kink here and into the International Horseshoe. Grube once again passing in that section of the track and has Pointer as they go through the horseshoe. Good battle here for second, but that is allowing Christopher Hamilton to extend his lead just a little bit. As we have lost our overlay here, I believe. Let me reload that for y'all. See if we can get the tower back. Oh, we're still in replay mode. And it would be nice if I knew how to get this out of replay mode. I apologize. For some reason, the jump to present is not working for me. Apologize for the technical difficulties, as this is the first time I've done the broadcast with the software, so and it really just does not want to go out of replay mode here, so I don't know what exactly is happening. I will come back to the front and fast forward as much as I can and see if we can get back to live. As Christopher Hamilton is still leading this race, Jacob Grube in second, Kelly Pointer still running third, Carl Handwerk is still running fourth. And we might just have to avoid replays from here on out until I can get this issue figured out. And there we are back live. As you can see, Christopher Hamilton on the tri-oval as he finishes what will be lap number 4, going into lap 5. And he has now put a 3-second gap on the field. See Kelly Pointer behind going into turn 1. It looked like Grube went a little bit wide there into turn 1, giving Kelly almost a 1-second advantage now as they head into the infield. And you can see that advantage with Christopher Hamilton gapping the field just here a little bit. And we have back in 4th Carl Handwerk and John Nobinger bringing up 4th and 5th. Behind them we have Kevin Foster just now making it into the kink on the infield. And here comes Caleb Collins. And the battle here between Matt Crockett and Joe Sullivan for 8th and 9th positions. And here you have Dan Phelps going through the kink. John Crane. And the last car in the field right now is Brandon Mettler with that little bit of a spin coming back onto the oval earlier. Hamilton going through the bus stop. Really, these guys pretty well spread out now, and it will just be a race of attrition to see who can make the least mistakes, make sure that they can keep those tires happy. Which will be a challenge here on the high banks of Daytona, along with the pressures of heavy braking into the road course sections. As we see, Carl Handwerk is still working on about a second gap over, a little less than a second gap over John Nobinger as they go into turn 1 together here. A little bit further down in the field we have Joe Sullivan battling with Dan Phelps. This will be for 9th place at the moment. Looks like Sullivan did have a bit of an off-track adventure, and Phelps was able to get by. And now he returns the favor as Phelps goes a little bit wide into the International Horseshoe, and Joe Sullivan is able to take advantage and put that number 76 car back into 9th place. And that means that your closest battle in the field is back to being Carl Handwerk and John Nobinger. As they break and go through the bus stop chicane. Nobinger getting a little bit closer under braking there and through the chicane. Going to be able to potentially draft up to the back of Handwerk here into turn 1. Actually, it looks like he has maintained about that 0.4 of a second gap. Probably too much to make up with the draft as they head through the tri-oval and into turn 1. But Nobinger definitely still in spitting distance of the 18 of Carl Handwerk. Give you a little bit of an idea what it looks like going through the infield here as we look at through the nose camera on Carl Handwerk's vehicle. You can see Jacob Grube out front there getting on the throttle and maybe having to get out of the throttle just a little bit as the back end of that car or that truck was not happy. And correcting. This truck is a handful all the way through the infield. You saw him correcting through the kink there. Now heading into the other horseshoe. And to the last turn on the infield here, getting back onto the oval. Swinging the truck out wide and then back and letting it float up here onto the high bank and then back down That is the preferred line. As we look at Nobinger behind him, looking at the rear suspension of Handwork, and we'll see how that suspension works as they break into the bus stop chicane. See the front end diving down. Plenty of curb as they go through here. Very nice from Nobinger and Handwork, keeping it clean through that chicane. And maintaining about that half a second gap. And as we come to lap 8, and these guys actually will be coming to pit stops. Not on this lap, I believe, but maybe potentially the next lap or the lap after. We'll start to see our first round of pit stops. As you will see, these guys have to woe those trucks down to 60 miles per hour, I believe. As Handwork getting very loose and actually getting into Nobinger as he makes contact with the wall. Unfortunate for Nobinger there, kind of wrong place at the wrong time. Hopefully no damage on that truck as he falls back into 1 second gap to Handwork. And at the back it looks like Dan Phelps has crashed. Don't see any damage on that truck. At least from this angle. Maybe a little scrape on the outside, I'm not sure. But he has fallen back to a few seconds behind Mettler. And Matt Crockett is your first to pit as he heads into and out of pit lane here. The first pit stop here on his lap 8, I believe. And back onto the course. Christopher Hamilton now extending that lead almost 5 seconds over Kelly Pointer. Meanwhile, Pointer has extended his lead over Jacob Grube. He has about a 4-second gap. We come down and it looks like Nobinger, I'm not sure if he got damaged from that little impact with the wall as Carl got loose next to him or not, but he has lost another 1.5 seconds since that contact occurred. Not going to come into the pits this time, so not enough damage to get it fixed at least. Maybe just taking it easy and going to take what he can on his next pit stop, which should be coming soon. As we are 1/4 of the way through this race, 15 minutes in. Back here in the field, we have Brandon Mettler running in 9th place. John Crane did just lose that spot to Mettler as he goes a little bit wide into turn 1 and gets a little loose on that exit from turn 1. That was the same place you saw Carl Handwork getting loose. He saves it and continues on, locking up the front wheels into the International Horseshoe. That's not going to do his tires any favors, as Dan Phelps is coming right up onto the back of him, looking to put that 85 car back into the top 10. This your closest battle on the track. And let's see if this time is going to be the pit stops for the lead group, as we see Christopher Hamilton coming through NASCAR 3 and 4. And will he pit this time? He will. Brings it down in. Let's see if he can get it woed up. A little bit of twitch, but no, not a lot of drama there, as Hamilton and Pointer will be in the pits this time. So we see Pointer, and see if tires are in order or not. As you see, the entire field back through Kevin Foster is now into the pits. As the truck goes up, and it looks like it'll be 4 tires for Hamilton. And 4 tires as well for Kelly Pointer, but it looks like Jacob Grube might have only taken 2. I'm not sure there. if I caught that or not. Groob only 8 seconds stationary, so he must have only taken 2 tires, as it looks like Kelly Pointer did take 4. And that allows him to leapfrog Pointer as we come back onto the International Horseshoe. And we'll see if those right side tires are going to be a little bit unbalanced here for the first lap as Groob brings them up to temperature. And those left sides are going to be already hot and a little bit worn. So far, so good for Jacob Groob as he is able to allow that leapfrog of Pointer in the pits to stick through the first half of this lap. The bus stop may be a challenge. The first lap on two cold tires and 2 warmer tires. As here he dives in. And seemingly from the outside, not a lot of drama there. Maybe something that Kelly Pointer keeps in mind is that he comes to his next pit stop. As he took 4 the first time, he might be taking 2 next time and returning the favor on that leapfrog. Once again, though, I believe this will be a 3-stop race. So we'll be able to see all of that pit stop drama 2 more times. As this is your closest battle on the track for 2nd place. Pointer pushing, but keeping the rear end of that car under control as he pushes right up onto the back and pushes maybe a little too hard under braking, and Pointer loses it. He's able to recover through the grass, but that's going to cost him a bunch of time as he is now 4 seconds and increasing 5 seconds to Jacob Groob on the interval. Costly mistake there in the International Horseshoe, just braking a little too late and locking up the wheels. And Kelly Pointer will have to chase Jacob Groob back down if he hopes to get to that next step on the podium. Meanwhile, Christopher Hamilton is out to a 7-second lead and increasing almost 8 seconds with that beautiful College Series truck repping his alma mater, or his current alma mater, as he attends at the UNOH, University of Northwestern Ohio. Very nice paint there. We see Groob here with the Budweiser 95, King of Beers, coming back onto the oval in the high banking. Kelly Pointer behind him in the Pointer Motor Supplies 75 truck. And we have John Nobinger in the Lone Star Beer truck. Speaking of that battle between Handwork and Nobinger, it looks like at some point Paul Handwork had a little bit of drama here and allowed Nobinger to get past, and now is 7 seconds behind Nobinger. So something unfortunate happened for Handwork as he pushes it a little too hard into turn 1 again, but able to keep it under control on the exit. And keeps that 18 car in 5th place. Kevin Foster, though, licking his chops a little bit, looking at what he can do to get up past the 18 and back into the top 5. Where he started, 5th place on the grid. In that dark green number 8 truck. I do apologize. We're not catching some of the incidents here as I am afraid to go off live. It did not want to go back live quickly tonight. We will try to keep it on your best battles on the track, as this is one of the closest battles on the track with just 7/10 of a second as they go through the bus stop chicane. And Carl Handwerk potentially struggling to keep that truck in line, allowing earlier John Nobinger to go by. And now seeing Kevin Foster getting a little bit bigger in his mirrors, as out front, Kelly Pointer runs his fastest lap of the race, a 1:49 flat, almost equaling the fast lap of, or the lap of Christopher Hamilton at a 1:48.9 last time around. Best lap of this race so far is from Hamilton at a 1:48.5. So these guys are turning consistent laps in the 1:49 ranges for the top three in the field. As we see Kevin Foster closing the gap once again, now down to about half a second. And really closing under braking. Can he keep it under control? He can. And getting a little more power down as well. Potentially brakes earlier than Handwerk, and is able to keep that truck under control as they bring it back onto the oval. Down to 3/10 is the interval. It looks like we do. I'm not going to jump away from this battle, but we have seen John Crane has crashed in the back and gone off in 11th place. His Handwork is a little bit better. Oh, and Foster getting loose out of the bus stop. That's going to cost him a bunch of time as his momentum is stalled coming back onto the oval. And Handwerk able to pull out a 1 second gap with that little bobble. As we maybe go back and see what happened with John Crane here. Going back onto the oval and just loops it under braking. And then comes back on track. See if we can get back to live here. If I'm patient enough, it could work. We do see another incident here as Caleb Collins has gone off track. This is going to be in the International Horseshoe. All kinds of trouble at the front end of that truck. The West Texas A&M University truck. Beautiful red, white, and blue paint job. Living Water Fellowship on that truck as well. Caleb Collins here running in 7th with Dan Phelps, but a lap down is Dan Phelps behind him. And once again, trying to go back to live here. I'm going to show you a scenic view, and hoping that it brings us back to a live view. And it will not. So we're going to fast forward again. I do apologize, folks. We are back live. As we see, back to the battle between Foster and Handwerk. Coming closer and closer to your second round of pit stops. On lap 15 here, as I believe that everyone came in at the end of lap 9. after the first stint. So we should see this lap and 3 more before our next round of pit stops. As I will give my voice a rest and your ears a rest from hearing my voice as we do a little bit of a love to hear it here. And as we come back live here, this battle between Foster and Handwork has not cooled down. Foster still looking to chase down Carl Handwork. Coming to lap 18 and what will be inevitably your second round of pit stops. Back onto the oval we come. Foster with just a little bit tighter line there. The wider line is a viable one though, as you can see. Carl Handwork maintaining that half-second gap. And Christopher Hamilton has in fact come into pit lane. He has made lots and lots of time up on second and third as they are just now coming into the pit lane. As we watch behind the gap there between your first place competitor Christopher Hamilton and Jacob Grube just now coming into their pit stalls, as we see the right side go up on Hamilton and now the left. And we'll keep it here and watch and see what happens with Kelly Pointer and Jacob Grube. As Grube is away, and Grube with another two-tire pit stop, as he has made 8 seconds stationary, and Pointer 15 once again, as he has found enough confidence to only take 2 tires on these pit stops. You might have seen under our Love to Hear It, these cars are an absolute handful. Even our top 3 struggling to get on the power without shaking loose that rear end and having to get out of it, as you saw Kelly Pointer perhaps on the Love to Hear It segment inside the vehicle, as he goes back through the kink on those 4 new freshies. Taking those 4 tires has increased the gap though, as now he will have to make up 7 seconds to get back on the tailgate of Jacob Grube. Meanwhile, after this pit cycle, Grube has made up time on Christopher Hamilton. It was almost 12 seconds before the cycle. Now only 6 seconds between Hamilton and Grube. As you could just see him in the background potentially there as he comes through the bus stop, excuse me. And somehow Kevin Foster has made up oodles of time in the pit cycle over Carl Handwork, as we see almost 7 seconds that Carl Handwork is now behind the 8 of Kevin Foster. And in fact, the stationary time of Kevin Foster was only 8 seconds in that pit stop, so maybe a 2-tire or a no-tire stop, whereas Handwork took 15 seconds in his stall, thus giving that 7.5 seconds back to Kevin Foster. I shouldn't say back to, but to Kevin Foster, putting him in 4th place. As Nobinger has made an extra lap of fuel, as he's coming in this time after lap 20, or 19 for him. Or is this his second pit stop? Did he actually come in twice? Maybe he had a penalty. We bring up the pit strategy here. Looks like Nobinger might have had a penalty, as he has had to come in to the pit lane once again here on lap 20 and back through the pit exit. So I believe Nobinger might have been a little bit naughty on pit road and was caught by the officials here tonight. That will drop him down. He comes out in 9th place, as we are watching Kevin Foster now with only a 4-second gap over Carl Handwork, as those new tires 4 new tires are working well for Handwork, making up the deficit that he incurred in the pit lane, putting those tires on, and hoping to use them to full advantage to catch up to the 8 of Kevin Foster. Meanwhile, other big movers in this race, Caleb Collins up 4 spots to P6 at this point, and running 12 seconds behind Carl Handwork, solidly in the first half of the field here. I think Caleb Collins will be happy with that performance thus far, if he can keep it there with some of these guys that are definitely more familiar on the road course discipline. Meanwhile, Christopher Hamilton has been building the gap back up. It's now almost 9 seconds back to Jacob Grube, as he did take more tires than Grube in the pit cycle. And here we have Kelly Pointer 5 seconds behind Jacob Grube, also looking to take advantage of a full 4-tire swap on his pit stop. And really the first 3, though everyone is spread out here, the first 3 are on quite an island here, with a 25-second gap back to Kevin Foster in 4th place. So Hamilton, Grube, and Pointer contesting for the podium here tonight, and looking to see if one of their competitors up in this top 3 can make a mistake and allow the others to take advantage. As here we can see the gap. Kelly Pointer going through the International Horseshoe and through the kink, which in a GT3 car is just fine in that kink. No lift, no drama for the most part, unless you're trying to pass someone. However, in this NASCAR truck, you could see that back end start to wobble all the way through that kink, and at that speed and that throttle position, it can be quite a wild ride. Coming back onto the oval, we have Kelly Pointer and about 1 straightaway worth of distance from Kelly to Jacob Grube. But we do have a battle that's tightening up, and that's back to the 18 and the 8, as Carl Handwork has made up all of that 7 seconds that he lost in the pit stop, minus 1 second. And now he is looking directly at the tailgate of the green and black 8 of Kevin Foster. Carl did lose a little bit of time there going through the bus stop, but makes it right back up on the exit, as it looks like Foster might have made a mistake. I think he had a slowdown. He goes high on the oval to eliminate that slowdown penalty for cutting the corner, and that has allowed Carl Handwork to bring his truck right up to the tailgate once again as they go into turn 1. Handwork pushing hard, going a little bit wide, but bringing it in. And he is right on the bumper now. Here they go through that little kink, that little chicane, and into the International Horseshoe. Handwork thinks about a move, but thinks better of it. And now, on the inside, Foster goes wide, and Handwork is through. Let's see what Kevin Foster has to say about this. He will have older tires at least on one side of that truck, and it's probably why he didn't have a whole lot of answers for the 18 coming by. But Carl did have to push it pretty hard to get through in the International Horseshoe here. Looks like those tires are going to treat him okay, though, as he heads back onto the oval. A little bit further back in the field here, we have a battle brewing between Brandon Mettler and Joe Sullivan. Coming into the kink here, Mettler looking at the back of that Mechanic Joe 76, bright orange Chevrolet. Ooh, and getting a little loose on the exit. Scoops it up, though, and keeps it within a second here as they come back onto the oval section. We saw Mettler lose it on the exit of the pits of the, I keep calling it a pit stop, the bus stop chicane earlier. See if they can keep it clean here and maybe give him a chance through the next round of the infield to get past Joe Sullivan for a P7 here. As we are now almost 3/4 of the way through this 1 hour race on lap 24. Diving through turn 1 here. See what these guys can do in this battle for B7. See the front end of that truck dive as they hit the brakes through the International Horseshoe. You might have heard in the Love to Hear It, these guys are really lugging these trucks down low, trying to get the low end torque, but not being overly aggressive on those rear tires and breaking the rear end loose. And Sullivan and Mettler executing that to perfection, as we see Carl Handwerk is actually early pitting here. It looks like he is trying to get the best advantage he can going into this last stint, hitting a little bit early enough where his pit window was open. And we will see what looks like he is away, and he has taken only fuel for this final pit stop. Just 4 seconds stationary. Caleb Collins with the same thought. Coming into the pits here. And he will take at least right sides or left sides, one of the two, with an 8.9 second stop. Joe Sullivan also coming in now. As Joe is away in just 6.5 seconds, so probably only fuel for Joe Sullivan. Back to the front of the field here, we have Christopher Hamilton reestablishing the gap of about 12 seconds that he had before the last round of pit stops. With those 4 fresh tires, he has enabled himself to extend once again that gap back to Jacob Grube, asserting some dominance here tonight on the road course at Daytona in the NASCAR truck. And Kevin Foster coming in now. as the 8 will woe it down and stop in his stall. Will it be only fuel? No, the left side goes up, as Foster will take tires, at least one side, and back out on the track. Where will he come out relative to handwork? As he just brushes the wall there on the outside of the pit lane exit. No harm, no foul there, hopefully, for Foster. As he comes out a whole 11 seconds behind Carl Handwerk. We do know that Handwerk only took fuel on his pit stop, but that 11 seconds might be difficult to find in the next 11 minutes for Kevin Foster if he's looking to track down the 18. He might have to hope for a mistake here. Things are heating up just a little bit between the second and third place competitors of Groob and Pointer, as we see about 4.5 seconds now. I don't know if I can get a view. Yes, I can, of that gap on the track as Jacob Groob heads toward the kink and Pointer comes out of the exit of the International Horseshoe. That is your gap for second place. As it looks like Matt Crockett has called it a night early, parking that truck 9 laps down from Dan Phelps. Not sure what happened to Crockett, as we might have missed that earlier, or if he just decided this was a little bit too much for him with this combination. We have 3 trucks 1 lap down, Sullivan, Crane, and Phelps, but still fighting out there to see what they can do with the trucks on this challenging road course. As Chris Hamilton into the pits. This will be his final pit stop, as I believe your top 3 will be coming around and in for the final time right now. As we watch the gap here between the top 3, Hamilton there in his box at the front and away in just 5.5 seconds. That will be a fuel-only stop, with Groove coming in next. And I'm guessing with 9 minutes left, it will be... No, he brings up the right side of that truck. He will take tires. As he takes right sides, and in 8 seconds, he is away from his box. Pointer with a fuel-only stop, coming away just after Jacob Groob, looking to put the pressure on here with 9 minutes left and probably about 4 to 5 laps of racing left. As back onto the track and through the International Horseshoe they will go. Here see Jacob Groob getting the power down on the exit. And behind him, Kelly Pointer, about 3 seconds back. Maybe not the advantage that Kelly hoped to gain on that pit stop with fuel only. He was running about 4 seconds back, but must have lost a little bit on the in and out lap. Or in lap, I should say, as he is a little loose out of the corner here. Pushing that car back onto the oval we come. 3.5 seconds now to Jacob Groob in front of him. And Mettler and Nobinger are into the pits for the final time for them. Mettler out with fuel only. And Nobinger potentially a longer stop here, as he is going to take tires. And both sides of that truck go up. He's taken 4 tires for the last 7 minutes of this race. Taking no chances. Maybe doing a little bit of repair as well with the 22-second stop stationary there for Nobinger. Wanting to make sure that he gets out in front of the rest of the field here and stays there. A disappointing night for Nobinger, as I believe he must have gotten a pit penalty. Comes out next to one of the top 3 in Grube and has to make his way through the International Horseshoe on the outside of Jacob Grube. You can see he's inserted himself now into this, what is the second closest battle on the track, and the battle for the second and third podium positions. Jacob Grube now 4 seconds ahead of Kelly Pointer. 6 minutes remaining in this race as we are going through lap 29 for the lead group here. Hamilton and Grube, once again the class of the field, as they have really been all season long, showing their chops at every discipline thus far. Bar maybe 1 or 2 races for each of them where they might have struggled. I believe Grube did struggle on the dirt just a little bit earlier this season. And Hamilton didn't have his best day in the late model stock at Sebring, with a couple mistakes, but otherwise these guys have really shown off their talent on all disciplines thus far in Premier, which is exactly what this series allows the drivers to do. Show that they are not one-trick ponies, that they are able to throw the car around the dirt, on the oval, on the road. Every discipline that iRacing offers. And a little bit later this year, we will have a little bit of dirt road as well, with some heat racing action. Christopher Hamilton with 15 seconds and 4 minutes. 15-second lead with 4 minutes to go here. And we do have a battle back in the field, one that we saw a little bit earlier. Brandon Mettler and Joseph Sullivan. Joe Sullivan about a half a second in front of Brandon Mettler. That is within the range where Mettler might take some chances here, with a 22-second gap back to Nobinger, to see how much gap he can close before this race ends. And Joe Sullivan will be looking to keep those wheels on. As you can see, a little wag of the tail coming out with the power down out of turn 1 for Brandon Mettler, as he pushes that truck on the inside and looking to get, oh, he can't quite get up inside of Sullivan. And that just goes to show you it will be a race to the end for these two. The best battle on the track currently. Both of these guys up 1 place from their starting position. Taking a similar line, maybe a little bit more power, a little bit more wag of the tail for Mettler coming back onto the oval. And that has cost him down to 0.7 seconds now behind Joe Sullivan. And it does look like Sullivan was able to make his way past Mettler not too long ago as Mettler went off track. So Mettler might be pushing that truck just a little bit beyond the limits, but is going to want to find the edge of that limit now to catch back up and put a move on the 76. As he does, he is within a second, he is drafting and he is through on the tri-oval. I wonder, did Joe Sullivan have a slowdown there? That was quite a gap as he goes wide into turn one, and Mettler will go by and clear. And now the rules are reversed. Joe will be looking for Brandon Mettler to make a mistake here and pushing to see if he can get that 76 back into 7th place. They are looking around the lap traffic of Dan Phelps here going through the second horseshoe. That might have cost Joe Sullivan just a little bit of time as he was compromised on the exit. And it should be the white flag for Christopher Hamilton. As we see him putting Dan Phelps 2 laps down. And through the bus stop. Into NASCAR 3 and 4 for the second to last time. As he sees that battle in front of him that we were just watching of Sullivan and Mettler. Come into the white flag. See Barney up there waving the white flag as we come by. He's got Sullivan and Mettler in front of him, and Mettler to the inside. Holding off Joe Sullivan here. Oh, that was a checkered flag, actually, for Hamilton, as I am sorry, I have missed that earlier. That's the checkered flag, and Hamilton has won this race. But that means that this battle continues, as Mettler and Sullivan will be on their white flag lap. Grube finishing second. Kelly Pointer finishing third tonight. Handwork will be coming across the line shortly. Here he comes. Over the line and finishing in 4th place tonight. Kevin Foster. Bringing it home in the top 5. And I do not want to miss how this battle is going to end. We see Brandon Mettler back onto the oval and through the bus stop chicane for a final time. Oh my goodness, Joe Sullivan with a ton of speed going in. And oh, he loops it on the exit. Unable to hold it. Had to give it everything he had. No risk, no reward there for Sullivan, as he certainly sent it, doing the best he could to give Brandon Mettler some competition here at the end for 7th place. But Brandon will finish here, bringing it home. And that will be P7 for Brandon Mettler. As we wait for Joe Sullivan to finish, and we'll bring up your finishing results here shortly. As Joe brings it across the line in the P8. And your results tonight. Not the qualifying results. I just made the same mistake that every other broadcaster does as I look for here we go. We got your race results. And in P1, not the bridesmaid tonight, we have Christopher Hamilton finishing P1 and on pole as Jacob Grube brings it home in second place. Kelly Pointer in third. Carl Handwork in P4, gaining 2 positions from his starting place on the grid. Kevin Foster in the top 5. Caleb Collins, Brandon Metler, Joe Sullivan, John Nobinger, Dan Phelps, John Crane, and Matt Crockett bringing up the rest of the field here tonight. And Crockett looks like he took a little bit of an early leave here tonight, finishing 17 laps down and a little bit early. And hope you enjoyed the racing tonight as we look to gather up some of these guys and see what we can do in terms of interviews. And 1 second as I arrange that, make sure you can hear everyone. All right. Bring up Kelly Pointer here. Kelly Pointer, you got a copy? This is David in the booth. Oh, not too much. Just watching an interesting race out there. Certainly not a easy combination, as we could see the car moving around, under braking, under throttle. Just about everything that you did, that car was going to complain a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about how your race went tonight. And Kelly, just a minute here. Let me make sure that I get this coming through on the broadcast, as it does look like I'm not quite getting it. So 1 second. I apologize for this. Let's see here. And if you can give me a little check here.
Check, check.
Yep, I think we got you now. All right, so as we were saying, yeah, how was your race out there tonight? It was definitely a challenging one with this combination.
Yeah, definitely. Because you can't go through the corners in second gear. It's just too low of a gear coming out. Um, I lost control trying to make sure I didn't slam into the back of Grube, whatever. And yeah, I had a 3 second penalty, I think. So I had to slow down. And that just killed. And it just made me play catch up. And yeah.
Yeah, I think we caught that on the broadcast as you were heading into the International Horseshoe and really had to slam on the brakes there. I wasn't sure there was any contact or not, but definitely lost the front end of the car and a few seconds. It looked like you guys were taking a little bit different strategies in the pits. I think I saw you take 4 tires, both at least of the first 2 stops, and Grube, I believe, only took 2. Do you think that played a role tonight in how things ended up, or is just kind of evened out through the course of your
Yeah.
stints?
I mean, it made me have to play catch up throughout the whole night. It's just, I had to. I think that was a better idea to take 2. I tested with 2. Why I never stick with my darn plan? I don't know why. I saw Hamilton take 4, and I was like, hey, I'll take 4 too. And then he took, yeah. I thought he just got gas, but yeah, 2.
Yeah, 2 tires at least for the first 2 stops, and I believe at the end, maybe just fuel.
Yeah, he took fuel on last, or
Yep.
he had a 7.8 second stop, so mine was 5.3. His is 7.8. So he
Yep.
took something. I just took fuel.
Yep. So it did look like that kind of evened out through the course of the stints, but you did have to play catch up. You weren't able to keep track position on him, so might have been a little bit of a difference there in how things finished up. But hindsight always 2020. Still a good finish here in P3 tonight on the road course. So anyone that you want to give a shout out to on the number 75 there?
Definitely, I appreciate that. Thank you guys for doing the broadcast. Thank my wife for allowing me to do this. Congratulations to my buddy Mike for his wedding yesterday. And if you need any AMSOIL, give me a call. Go to my website, pointersmotorsupplies.com, and you find all the AMSOIL you need, or just give me a call.
Very good. Thank you, Kelly. We appreciate you coming out here tonight and putting that 75 on the podium, and hope to see you next week.
Definitely, brother. God bless. Take care.
All right, you too. That was your 75 of Kelly Pointer with a third place finish tonight. And right now we have Jacob Grube. Jacob, this is David in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, David.
All right. Well, a good solid second place here tonight. A little bit different strategy in the pits. I saw, and I was talking with Kelly. Saw you taking two tires on those first two stops, I believe. Do you think that contributed to your ability to keep Kelly behind you, or did you have a little bit more pace than he did out there on the track?
No, I think that was my only chance to get in front of him was to take the two tires because really taking two tires didn't add anything to your pit stop really. So I figured I would try that, and I got lucky that he took four tires, so I got out in front of him. And then I was just a matter of trying not to make a mistake and just see if I could manage to keep it out in front of him. And he was faster than me. He had better pace, but I just kept alternating sides of tires. I would take the rights, and the next time I come in, I'd take the left, and it ended up keep get me out up front of him just enough to get that second spot.
Yeah, that was a good strategy call here tonight. We did see that Kelly, with you ending up in front of him after the first round of pit stops, did have a little bit of trouble behind you going into the International Horseshoe. That cost him some time, and probably ultimately cost him the ability to then hop in front of you again later in the race. So definitely a good call, and using the strategy to your best advantage there. Um, how was your race otherwise? Any big challenges out there tonight?
Yeah, I really struggled with control over the truck at Daytona Road Course here. Done a lot of Daytona and a lot of stock cars, but I couldn't find the real command of the throttle and the brake tonight. So it was just a kind of struggle, just and didn't have much pace. But it was fun, and congrats to Chris for the win and Kelly. Had a lot of speed. He was fast, so congrats to him too.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you giving a shout out to your competitors there. Is there anyone else that you'd like to give a shout out to here tonight after that P2 finish?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Budweiser. I'll go have one. Thanks, guys.
All right, very good. Well, we will do the same as we let you go, and we will see you next week.
Thanks.
All right, that was your P2 finisher, the 95 of Jacob Grube. As we bring in your winner tonight, not the bridesmaid, Christopher Hamilton. This is David in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, brother. Well, this was putting on maybe a clinic tonight, I guess you could say, over a 10-second victory over some tough competitors here tonight. And I don't know that you put a foot wrong. We didn't see it, at least on the broadcast. I did see that you had really good control over that truck and into turn one, using the brake to your advantage, even not something that all of the competitors out here tonight were able to take full advantage of. But can you tell us a little bit more about how you were able to tame the truck tonight here at Daytona?
It was a thing about patience. The truck is a little bit more forgiving when it comes to stock cars on road courses, so you're able to, but you just had to be patient with it. I did actually do a couple things wrong coming out of the bus stop. That's why I had a 2x instead of 0x. No one else but myself to blame on that one. But the just being patient on the throttle, being patient on the brakes, not doing too much braking, kind of using just being patient all around. You didn't have to attack. You kind of had to drive with finesse, which is very different because these are big, powerful V8 angry trucks. And you would think you want to be aggressive with them, but no, they actually handle better when you're very, very gentle with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely noticed that out there tonight. A lot of tail wagging, a lot of front end instability coming into the corner from some of these guys, and you really can't blame them attacking this road course many times, as I'm sure they have in GT cars or the like. This is a totally different beast. So, was there anything out there as far as the lap traffic or anything else out on the track that gave you a little bit of any moments out there tonight?
It was mostly just me because I absolutely missed my braking zone going into turn one. I don't know if it was caught by the broadcast, but if it was hilarious because I went almost hit the wall. But yeah, just keeping momentum up and not putting a foot wrong was the best way to do it.
All right, very good, Chris. Well, we will let you go, but before we do, would you like to give any shout outs here tonight?
A huge shout out to Ryan McCauley for doing the paint that you see here. It's a nice little UNOH paint that I should have ran for eNASCAR, but scheduling made me not, fortunately, not able to race it. Huge thank you to the competitors coming out tonight. It was a difficult combo, but I'm glad they see them out there. And thank you for stepping up for the broadcast, David.
All right, well, I appreciate it, and I'm sure Ryan appreciates the call out too of that beautiful paint job. And we will let you go and hopefully see you next week.
Yeah, should be here.
All right. Catch you later, Chris. And that will call it a night here for racing at Daytona for the Premier League. Hope you enjoyed the race. A few comments here. Definitely some technical problems. We apologize for that, as I'll have some learning to do on exactly how to get this thing all squared away. But hopefully next week we'll have Brendan back here to run the broadcast and get that going for us. Hope you all enjoyed the broadcast, and we will see you next week.